Hello and welcome to the New World Review, your source for everything anime and manga, mostly Hunter x Hunter, I will admit. And on that note, more specifically, welcome to the Nencyclopedia, a clever play on words there, where we will be specifically diving into and detailing the wide array of abilities demonstrated in Hunter x Hunter. Commencing here today with our classic protagonist lad boy, Gon Freaks. And if you're thinking that Gon is an overly simplistic individual whose abilities really don't need a whole video of their own, well, I don't think you're quite giving Mr. Gon enough credit here. It's actually pretty amazing what this little guy can do with very simple concepts like rock, paper, scissors. In fact, let's play right now just to give us a taste. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count down from 3, at which point I want you to select rock, paper, or scissors to face me in battle. And if you lose, then you need to subscribe to the New World Review, which will grant you regular Hunter x Hunter content uploaded straight into your YouTube feed. So the whole concept of losing is quite arguable, really. But alright, now that we've got the rules, are you ready? Let's go. 3, 2, 1, go. That's right, I chose trusty old rock. So for anyone who went scissors, please do press that delightful red button, and I welcome you into our association. In any case, that was the power of rock, paper, scissors without Nen, because I am not fortunate enough to be a Nen user myself, but Gon takes all of this to the extreme. Starting with some basic information though, this is something that can often be forgotten about Gon, but he has an extraordinary natural talent for aura manipulation. In fact, it has been stated that both he and Killua possess a raw affinity for Nen that can only be found in roughly 1 out of every 10 million people. 10 million being quite a lot. And I don't think that that truly comes across in Hunter x Hunter because we only really follow Gon through his discovery of Nen. We never get to see him land at a level of mastery, which all of his major opponents tend to have attained. So yes, Gon looks significantly underpowered compared to experienced users like his various teachers, Wing, Bisky, and Kite, as well as established antagonists like Uvogin, Hisoka, and you know what, even Genthru. All of these figures tend to dwarf Gon, but at the same time you do need to remember that this sort of comparison is similar to the idea of a 30-year-old man challenging a toddler to a game of chess. It doesn't matter how much natural talent the toddler has, they will inevitably lose to the experience and developmental advantages of the 30-year-old adult. So that is Gon's struggle. He possesses the ultimate talent, but almost none of the required experience. And with that in mind, he does pretty damn well just to compete in this series. And just to really emphasize how absurd Gon's abilities are, he was able to learn both Ren and Gyo in a single evening each. Meanwhile, we have a direct comparison in Zushi, who took 2 whole weeks to accomplish even a single aspect of producing a Ren. And Zushi himself is also quite a unique talent when it comes to Nen, a rising star of the art form by any metric. However, Gon, quite frankly, makes Zushi look like a struggling student. So with that in mind, let's step beyond the basic and even intermediate applications of Nen, because it'll be the same story. If it's a universal use of aura, Gon will master it in no time at all. But that brings us to the crowning feature of the art form, which is how Gon makes individual and unique use of his aura. And in terms of this, Gon is a natural enhancer, which is known as the most balanced Nen affinity. It allows for both great offense and fantastic defense, with the primary application of aura being used to increase Gon's physical abilities, as well as condense his aura into some pretty wildly powerful attacks. Before we get to that though, one heavily underrated feature of Gon's enhancement prowess is how ridiculously durable he becomes with Nen use. In the series, Gon has tanked several attacks that should have utterly destroyed him, and likely would have taken out non-enhancers on collision, such as characters of even Killua Caliber, who was a transmuter. But for example, let's take Baro, the armadillo chimera ant thing. Usually pretty irrelevant in any discussion, however he managed to catch Gon completely off guard with one of his attacks. And whilst Baro himself was not an Nen user, he did state that after being hit, every other human quite literally puked their guts out, which is, it's a lovely image, and assumedly they would have died shortly after, given that their insides would have now been their outsides. Meanwhile, Gon, with the most basic and improvised defense he could muster, took no real damage, which really does show off his talent for enhancement. For a Nen-related example though, on Greed Island, Gon was able to block one of Razor's Nen-infused throws during the dodgeball match, which is no easy feat considering he is a natural emitter, although this was not his most powerful attack. That would have been the volleyball spike, which Gon did block, although he required the assistance of both Killua and Hisoka to do so. But when it comes to attacking, Gon is able to transfer 100% of this defensive ability into an equitably devastating output, as is the great advantage of balance granted by enhancement, all of which manifests itself through the Jejunkin set of techniques. And the name itself is a play on the word Junkin, which is the Japanese equivalent of rock, paper, scissors, and rather predictably, Gon has 3 options available to him, which are named after rock, paper, and scissors respectively. So starting with rock, this attack is by far Gon's most powerful, as it takes advantage of raw enhancement. And in terms of how it looks, we basically see Gon build up an exceptional amount of aura and use it to punch an enemy. Its outward simplicity is quite deceptive though, because in order to perform this very straightforward attack, Gon Gon needs to combine several other uses of Nen, the basis of the entire attack being Ko, an advanced application of Nen taught to Gon by Bisky, the result of which is a complete concentration of aura around a particular body part, which will generally be a fist for Gon. However, this technique is also horrifically complex to master because it involves a combination of every basic principle, being Ten, Ren, Zetsu, and Hatsu, in addition to adding Gyo on top. So that is 5 simultaneous areas to balance just to achieve a solid Ko. And this is then taken a huge leap further with Rock, because rather than building up a stable Ko, Gon instead chooses to focus all of his aura into it, and when you have rather exceptional natural reserves of aura, this becomes quite a terrifying prospect. Furthermore, the resulting Rock will be all the more powerful should Gon have enough time to build up his Ren to a critical mass. Unfortunately, time is one of the many problems with Rock though. As an inexperienced Nen user, it takes Gon an awfully long time to concentrate the entirety of his aura into a single position, thus giving a competent opponent plenty of time to counter the obviously flagged incoming attack. Also, due to using the entirety of aura within Rock, Gon loses any defensive capabilities he has as an enhancer, meaning that more often than not, Rock is an all or nothing technique that when used needs to end the battle right then and there. Otherwise, well, we have problems. But recognizing the need for versatility, Gon would also delve into his neighboring Nen affinities, which would firstly present itself in the Scissors attack. Rather than being enhancement, Gon now wields transmutation, giving his built-up aura the qualities of a blade-like object. And the advantages of Scissors are twofold. Firstly, as opposed to Rock, Scissors is a more mid-ranged attack, and very much works as if Gon is wielding an actual weapon. So it increases his range, which is very helpful given that he is a small child thing, and landing hits with his teeny tiny arms can be tricky at times. Secondly, whilst the aura output is weaker than that of Rock, due to Gon obviously not being a natural transmuter, Scissors is actually a much more precise move, capable of comfortably slicing through certain defenses that even the blunt force of Rock would not be able to penetrate, giving Gon a very nice option against particularly durable opponents. And finally, we also have Paper, which sees Gon invoke his other neighboring affinity, being Emission. So same basic principle. Gon charges up his aura, but this time the plan is to fire it in something akin to a classical Ki Blast, the idea of which is to give Gon a long-range attack for certain situations, although this does come at a great cost to general power. The problem being that Emission is one slot removed on the Nen ring, and in addition to that, using Emission also naturally reduces aura potency, even in natural emitters actually, although they have more options available to mitigate that loss. So Paper, despite having the same aura cost as Rock, is only about 1/4 of the power, having been halved once by delving into Emission, and halved again by the unfortunate base cost of Emission. So if anything, Paper is an even more situational technique than Scissors, forcing Gon to think very strategically, in theory anyway. And what I also haven't mentioned thus far is that these attacks all begin with Gon performing a trusty little chant, which goes as follows. First comes Rock, Rock, Paper, and then whatever the name of the attack is. And this might seem a bit arbitrary. I mean, it is a common shonen trope to announce attacks for the benefit of the readers or watchers, but in this case it is also entirely possible that Gon has put a Nen limitation on himself, increasing the general capabilities of the moveset, but under the condition that he needs to perform the ritualistic chant. Which isn't to say that Gon has necessarily done that consciously either. It may very well be an unconscious limitation, but it is there in all but one specific case. And that would be the evolution of Jejunkin, which occurred during the Chimera Ant arc, where Gon developed round 2, and in theory this allows Gon to use 2 Jejunkin techniques in quick succession, with the second one not requiring the chant, but instead the simple declaration of round 2, which in theory gives Gon infinitely more versatility, able to now mix and match Jejunkin abilities, although we never really got to see the great effect of that. But these 3 attacks form Gon's base moveset, and they do tend to work quite well for him. Gon, as with most shonen protagonists, does have a keen sense for battle, but even then he is far from a genius in combat. So restricting himself to this simplistic set of moves that provide him with versatility without the need to engage in too much thinking is quite perfect for the Gon that we know, and assumedly he would have continued to grow those subtleties and complexities over the course of his development. Or he would have anyway if, you know, the thing didn't happen. That thing being Gon's most powerful invocation of Nen, which is quite possibly the most single powerful use of Nen that we have ever seen in the series, arguably anyway. But during the late stages of the Chimera Ant arc, Gon was thrust into the depths of despair, making a bit of a rash decision to say the least. But this moment is why I went to great lengths to detail Gon's natural talent throughout the video, because what we are now about to see would have been the culmination of all of that talent in Gon's adult form. This transformation was achieved by Gon performing a Nen vow to summon up all of the power he would ever have. And in exchange for this brief period, Gon was willing to throw away all of his talent and become unable to use Nen ever again, as well as throw away his life into a form that Ilmi Zoldyck described as a fate worse than death. But what's most unclear about this usage is what brand of Nen Gon used to make this a reality. Kind of like Bisky's transformation, it doesn't cleanly fall into the established affinities, and there is every chance that Gon evolved into a specialist just to perform this. That, or it is the most extreme incarnation of enhancement possible, to enhance your body to a time of growth and power necessary to overcome a certain enemy. But in this form, Gon completely eclipsed the Royal Guard Neferpitou in every conceivable area. In fact, call their following encounter a fight would be incorrect. It was a murder, with Gon taking brutal retribution for what had happened to Kite. And as for just how powerful Gon became, well, it's pretty difficult to quantify. Many fans, including myself, have often stated adult Gon to be an equal to that of Meruem, but that may not be true. In actuality, the statement Pitou made regarding this was that his fangs may even be able to sink into the king, which is nice and poetic, but it still shows a much higher regard for Meruem, although Gon did become a significant threat. Whatever the case, we do know that adult Gon is one of the most powerful existences in all of Hunter x Hunter, but once again that came at a huge cost. Gon was willing to sacrifice literally everything, his Nen, his life, and even his status as a protagonist in the series. Because whilst Gon was saved by Killua and Alaka, to this day he remains unable to use Nen and has thus retired to Whale Island to live life as a normal child for a bit of a change. That isn't to say that he doesn't have the potential to reawaken it, but given the strength of the vow he made, it would be supremely unlikely. And there we have the surprisingly tragic tale of Gon's Nen abilities, a character with supreme natural talent, although we as readers and watchers only got to see a brief glimpse of that true potential. But hey, that's just the nature of Hunter x Hunter, and a big part of why I love it. But what do you guys think? Please do leave your thoughts in the comments below, or even join my Discord server. And if you're keen for some more Hunter x Hunter content, then please do go and check out some of my other videos, or even subscribe to the channel for regular Hunter x Hunter glory delivered straight into your YouTube feed. But for now, this has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.